Hey guys, today we're going to learn about printmaking and using a foam printing plate to create a series of prints. As you're watching the video, if you hear my dog's nails clacking around on our wood floors or some of our little neighbor friends and my children talking or the mower going outside, please try to ignore all of that excitement in the background and just focus on the ideas that are going on in the video that you can see. We made our printing plates last time using dull pencils and carving our design into the foam. It's best if we use a simple design for this process since we are repeating it at least 4 times. So as you are coloring, please be aware you are going to get messy. I got some on my hand right there and it made me realize that I want to remind you to please pull your long sleeves up as you are coloring. You could try to fold your messy mat over to help a little bit. That will take a little bit of the color off of the printing plate, so you may need to go over that in some areas. Also, if you have wet marker on one area and you put the messy mat over, it could transfer that color onto another area, and you may not want that, so be extra careful if you do choose to use that method. Next, you're going to get a piece of painting paper and write your name and class code on the back. In pencil, if you use Sharpie, it will go through and we don't want to see that on the front of our artwork. So write your name in pencil on the back and then turn your paper over. The spray bottle is not my favorite way to get this paper wet. In my opinion, after I tried some other techniques, I really liked the other technique better. If you want to try the spray bottle technique, you could give it a shot. I would say definitely make sure you spread that water around with a paper towel to make it even. Otherwise, it's going to wash off too much of the marker ink from your printing plate in one area and not enough in another. So do use a paper towel to get that kind of evenly wet in the area you're going to print on. You can see that I'm picking up the corners a little bit and holding the printing plate still. And that is just to check to see if it transferred well enough throughout the print to make sure I like it before I pick it all the way up. It's easier to just lift up one area and keep the rest in place than to try to line it all back up again. So I'm repeating the process of rubbing over and over on my printing plate. Looks like maybe I needed a little more water in some areas, but honestly, that's a pretty good print. When you're finished with your print, you're going to rinse your printing plate off at the sink. You do not need soap. It does take a little bit of time. You're going to dry your printing plate off with a paper towel and the counter area as you are there. And then your printing plate will be ready to re-ink. I decided to try to clean a little bit more of my blue off with a spray bottle. This is something you want to be very careful with. If you pick that printing plate up and it transfers wet, liquid marker to your clothing, that definitely will stain your clothes. So be very careful as you are cleaning off your printing plate. Dry your messy mat and make sure that marker does not get on your clothing. After you clean your printing plate, just make sure it's dry and ready to accept some new marker colors. Okay, at this point I needed to bring my work home with me, and I'm using a different method to transfer my ink from my printing plate onto my paper. I just got a wet paper towel and I tried laying it over the area I wanted to print on and smoothing it out to make it evenly damp. Instead of just doing that, I also decided to pick up that paper towel and wipe it over the area to try to make it more even. And then finally I went ahead and pulled my print. And once you commit to laying that printing plate down, you've got to just go with it. Don't touch it to the paper and try to move it. It's going to make your print have lots of extra lines and details that you didn't hope for. So try to get it as even as possible the first time, and if it's not perfect, just commit and go with it. So you can see me repeating this process again and again. This is why it's called a series. We're pulling 4 prints from the same printing plate, and I really prefer, like I said, I really prefer the method of a wet paper towel. Helps it get a little bit of a more even print. On this one, I decided I did not like the red icing on both of the cupcakes that were right above and below each other. So I went ahead and tried to go over that with a little bit of brown. I re-wet that area and then tried to line it up the best I could. This is a little risky, to be honest, because it may have not lined up just where I wanted it, but I think it turned out okay, even though there's still a little red there. Part of the process of this is it's not going to be perfect. There's a marker fingerprint on the area I'm about to print on right now. It's just the way it goes. It's okay. It kind of helps me understand that, you know, things aren't always perfect, but they can still be beautiful. So this one gave me a little bit more trouble. I think my paper towel was drying out and it wasn't leaving as much water on the paper. So I ended up picking up that printing plate and I tried to re-wet some of those areas. It transferred a little bit of the orange because I wasn't being careful enough, and I got orange on the paper towel and then it moved over. So as you are going through this whole printing process, I really hope you're enjoying it, and I hope you learn about the printmaking style of creation. One more thing I want to tell you before you go about signing a print is that usually when artists sign their prints, they put the number of print over the number of total prints. So on my first one, I did 1 of 4, second one is 2 of 4, third one is 3 of 4, and the fourth one was 4 of 4 because I made 4 prints. If you wanted to, you could also trace around your prints and make them more bold with Sharpie. I decided against it, but whatever you decide is great.